So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and passionate medical students, welcome to the closing ceremony of the Neurosurgery Medical Student Chapter under the Turkish Neurosurgical Society, Young Neurosurgeons Committee. My name is Adem Yazıcı, and I am the current president of the Neurosurgery Medical Student Chapter in Turkey. Today marks the day of our first National Congress in Istanbul, themed Perspective of Neurosurgery, Surgery, and Beyond. So with our organizing committee of 26 medical students from 13 different medical schools, we endeavored to select topics that will familiarize our guests, 450 medical student attendees with neurosurgery. So we had 20 speakers join us face-to-face with 20-minute sessions and an additional 20 speakers for our workshops. So including this panel discussion, we are honored to have hosted a total of 50 speakers in our first ever medical student-run Congress. So to provide a brief overview of our mission, we are a student chapter under the Turkish Neurosurgical Society with the mentorship of neurosurgeons from the Young Neurosurgeons Committee. We aim to build a bridge between medical students and neurosurgeons on various occasions. The EANS Medical Student Chapter served as an inspiration for us to start this organization last year and to establish contact with the Turkish Neurosurgical Society. So today, in this panel discussion, we have 4 esteemed guests from different neurosurgical societies around the world who can provide us with their insights on medical students' exposure to neurosurgery. So please allow me to introduce them before we begin our panel. So we have Dr. Stroink, past president of EANS, Dr. Andreas Demetriades, past president of the EANS, and Dr. Connolly, the president-elect of the American Academy of Neurological Surgery. And we will have Dr. Hakan Emmez, president of the Turkish Neurosurgical Society, who will be moderating this panel with me. So first off, I would like to invite Dr. Hakan Emmez to share his thoughts on this meeting.
Thank you, Adam. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Dr. Sander and Dr. Andreas. We are happy and it's proud for us to see them together here. They are the leaders of neurosurgery in Europe and United States. And I don't want to talk too much because at the beginning, I introduced neurosurgery and Turkish neurosurgery to all our colleagues in the beginning of the Congress. Now we are closing. I think it's a big privilege and opportunity for our young colleagues to meet such important names. So I will be very, very silent now on. Cavit and you will continue. I'm again really thankful for you to be here. So Cavit, please continue.
Thank you, Dr. Emmez. Okay, so Dr. Stroink will be presenting like a 5-minute presentation, and I think he can start screen sharing. Yes, we can see the screen.
Yeah, can you see that?
Yep,
Yes.
perfect.
And also here, wonderful. So I thought maybe just kind of couch the conversation. I think that Adem wanted to hear what we were doing maybe on the United States side and kind of compare those with what you're doing in Turkey. And maybe this will kind of help all of us think about how to develop what this great mission that you have in getting medical students into our field. This is a great field for us and it's a challenging field, but at the same time, it's an incredibly rewarding opportunity for the right medical student to choose this career. So that being said, I thought I'd walk us through our EANS medical student chapters, kind of what our mission is and really where we are today. So the EANS medical student chapter, well, let's see, I think that jumped here. Hold on. Let me go back. So our mission for the AMA student chapters is really to provide the support and the leadership training for our medical students that really want to explore the career in neurosurgery. And we understand certainly that many people who do join these chapters end up not becoming neurosurgeons, but you're then at least teaching a legacy of physicians going forward. Well, how do you interact with neurosurgeons as part of your medical career? Our EANS student medical chapter provides a forum for medical students to develop a certain degree of professionalism, as well as it provides educational and research activities within the individual programs. It's really aimed to improve the mentorship piece, because certainly when medical students do have mentors, it does make a difference. But it also facilitates a participation at the national level here in the United States for the next generation of our leaders. This is really our mission, focused on the medical student chapters. But the real vision is that the EANS is supporting these activities, which can increase the interest to our future medical students, and see this as a very viable career. And at the same time, if there's promotion of neurosurgical education, this then expands that knowledge. But the other important piece is fostering early leadership, just as like Adem took this leadership on to do this coursework basically for the groups that are very interested in starting these chapters. And that's just a really good example of leadership. The EANS, however, is very committed to be the voice for medical students interested in neurosurgery, and want to provide these future medical students, soon to become residents, and have them very prepared for their field. Currently in the United States, we have 158 medical student chapters, which almost is all of the medical schools. In Mexico, we have 12, and in Canada, we have 12, I think. Let me look up. Yeah, we have 12 in Mexico. And so if you see that, that's our entire piece of the chapter representation, and it continues to grow. If we look at the numbers over the last 10 years, the medical chapters now pretty much dominated all of the medical schools, and we think that this is a great opportunity then for especially for medical schools that may have some weaknesses in terms of exposure to neurosurgery. I think that this is gaining strength for them as well. At this time, however, we're just have limited our medical student chapters to domestic North America. But if you look at what benefits they get out of it, they have free online subscriptions to the Journal of Neurosurgery, and then our JNS Spine, as well as our pediatrics. There's also a reduced registration rate for medical students when they come to our annual scientific meetings. But we also provide online educational sessions, which provide, I guess medical students don't necessarily get CME, but they get to take some of the same classes and education pieces that gives CME. There's also discounts on our EANS publications and the merchandise that we sell. So each medical student chapter, however, has certain requirements. They have to have a resident or a fellow who's interested in helping, or a provisional member of the EANS, or a fellow of the American Association of Neurological Surgeons that can be designated as a faculty member. The purpose of this faculty member is really to provide the guidance that you would need at a local activity, and help develop what those activities are, but give them appropriate guidance. The future of this is, we have a global interest at the EANS, and we think that our future might be that we will have a much better integration with international medical student chapters as part of this strategy. And we think that this will really advance education, not only domestically within the United States, but would be shared with the worldwide through these types of efforts. And our current global committee is currently evaluating this opportunity for all of us. And so with that opening, I thought maybe that would kind of help give us a little bit of outline of what we're doing here on our site. And we're very interested to hear what you are all doing in the Turkish societies.
Thank you, Dr. Stroink, for the presentation and kind words. So, as you said, you're now considering the international chapters. To be honest, at first, we kind of take a look at the EANS chapters internationally, and we find out that except for Mexico and Canada, that other countries are not able to open a medical student chapter. So therefore, we kind of went through the Turkish Neurosurgical Society and we try to talk how can we do this here in Turkey. So that was another opportunity for us to do this thing. So thank you. So my next question is to Dr. Demetriades from EANS. So Dr. Demetriades, can you tell us about the EANS concerning medical students and their exposure to neurosurgery?
Yes, thank you, Adem, again for the invitation. Hello to everyone. Let me first start by congratulating you all for this initiative. It's very important that you have taken the time and the energy to set this up. And I'm glad, of course, that the leader of the Turkish Neurosurgical Society, old friend Hakan, has provided you all the support. The EANS has been running courses for trainees, neurosurgical trainees, or what in certain countries are called residents, for 53 years now. And there's a long-standing tradition of neurosurgical trainees coming to these courses to meet other trainees from other countries all over Europe. All these courses tend to rotate from one location to another. So it's a bit of a geographical, cultural, and neurosurgical education all mixed together. And people who meet on these courses can be friends for life, like Hakan and I met many, many years ago. And of course, we kept contact. These courses, on the other hand, are mainly for trainees, right? They're not for students. And of course, students is where the future neurosurgeons will come from. The EANS launched something called the Young Neurosurgeons Network, and that was in 2022 during the Congress in Belgrade. In fact, Dr. Stroink was there at the launch in the members' lounge, and it is to recognize the fact that medical students need some sort of early guidance and opportunity to explore the possibility of neurosurgery, because we are fully aware that you might come, expose yourselves to this idea. Some of you might like it, and some of you might say, this is not for me, I prefer to do something else. But unless you have a contact and unless you have access, you will not be able to do that. It is true that many medical schools throughout Europe and perhaps beyond do not impose on all students to do an attachment in neurosurgery, which means some potential future neurosurgeons will never have the opportunity to consider this career. So the Young Neurosurgeons Network from the EANS is a platform, if you like, where you can make contact with trainees as well as young specialists. You can get involved in aspects of ongoing projects. And of course, you can come and present your own work that you can do with the neurosurgical departments in your own medical schools. So it's a young, new, and growing project from the EANS, and we look forward to seeing you join these network. The last thing to say is that at every Congress, we have a limited number of student positions at very low price, so that you can come and mingle with neurosurgeons from all over Europe and in fact the world.
Thank you, Dr. Demetriades. So now, next question to Dr. Connolly. Dr. Connolly, based on your background with the American Academy of Neurological Surgery and Society of Neurological Surgeons, what are the core aspects that such societies can play a part or can be effective on medical students' exposure to neurosurgery? I want to hear your ideas.
So I think it's great that you started your group with the Turkish Society, because I think all of these things really require local support. And as the other speakers have said, I think the real goal here is to have students actually introduce other students to this field. And one of the things that we really focus on in terms of the academy, which is the main scholarship society, is that one of the important ways to get involved as a student is doing some sort of scholarly project with a practicing neurosurgeon, even if they're not in an academic medical center. Help them write up their series, what have you. It's a great way to get involved. And when you have a medical student society at your local place, the medical students are cycling, and so they will not be finished with a project and they pass it off to another student, and they almost mentor one another in the scholarly process. And so I think that's a great way to get involved in neurosurgery, even if there's not a rotation. From the senior society standpoint, or the Society of Neurological Surgeons, we've really advocated for all medical schools to try to have at least some observership, even if it be just a week, for students to actually experience neurosurgery. They don't actually have to be involved in the service. Just getting into the operating room, seeing what neurosurgeons do, shadowing them on rounds is really enough to get people interested and to see what neurosurgery is about. As the other speakers have alluded, the students they're the future of our specialty, and if we don't get the best and the brightest interested in neurosurgery, then ultimately our field will be the worse for it. So all of the societies in the States have been working hand in glove to try to make sure the students are mentored from the minute they hit medical school. One of the things that we've done at Columbia and other medical schools have done is involve the neurosurgeons early on in the anatomy courses. So anatomy can be kind of dry, but if neuroanatomy is taught to you by a neurosurgeon, it has a different life to it. And so we've tried to inculcate that in the process of the didactic portion of medical school. So there are a lot of different ways to support people, but I think what you've done in Turkey by using your national society really is the best thing. There might be a way to work with the societies together, however, on some of the nice benefits that Anne has shown that we've been able to give to the North American students. So that's maybe something for the future to discuss.
Thank you, Dr. Connolly. So my next question is to Dr. Stroink. So Dr. Stroink, can you tell us more about what is the future perspectives of EANS with regard to missions of medical student chapters, and how do you plan to elaborate your function?
So I would say that, well, first of all, I really appreciate hearing the other voices here on this as well. And it sounds to me that we're all moving forward in getting our medical students involved. And I think that it's true even in the United States that there's inadequate exposure of medical students to neurosurgeons. And I remember even in my own practice, I was always shocked to learn that our referring neurologists have never seen an alive brain, never seen a spine surgery. Yet these are the main people that would be referring cases to me. So I think that lack of knowledge puts them at a disadvantage in really having a great relationship between the neurosurgeons and then that triangulates with our patients. So that being said, I think that the future of what I would see the future of really this gaining traction is that we all are major leaders here right now in neurosurgery in the world, and the world is getting smaller, so to speak, right? Because here it is, 6 o'clock in the morning, at least for me. And here I am talking to so many international people that we have this capability of this global relationship with each other. And I think we should take advantage of it with the youngest people that are coming into our field. So I think collaboration, just even in research projects that could go across seas that are shared, I think would make a difference and would, you know, kind of modernize and recognize that the innovation here now is in front of us, and we should take hold of it.
Thank you, Dr. Stroink. So my next question is to Dr. Demetriades again. So Dr. Demetriades, can you tell us more about how can the interaction between medical students and these senior societies can be facilitated further? And what is the role for subgroups such as younger surgeons, which you mentioned in this process?
Thank you. Very, very good question. I'll give you two examples that can hopefully highlight how powerful the young neurosurgeons and the medical students specifically can be. And I'm referring to collaborative research groups and collaborative consortia, where, for example, we have been able to study a particular question, but let's say this question is about a rare condition, and in one particular department will not have enough material to give a very strong answer to that question. The only way to address such things is to get volume, and the only way to get volume is to get people from many centers in one country and indeed many centers internationally. So what we hope to achieve in the future is to have a model whereby every center has a senior PI or research investigator, shall we call it, who is working with a student co-investigator. So this allows students to have responsibility early on. It gives them an incentive and a momentum to get involved in clinical research, or at least clinically relevant research. And it facilitates work that helps everybody. So I think this way you get what you want out of your exposure. You get something that will be visible afterwards when you do applications for your training programs, postgraduate training. And then, of course, your department gets help in having people running around and getting information and helping with the research. So I think we can together, all of us here on this call, somehow collaborate to create research consortia, which is an idea to bring together people at different levels. So a student working together with a trainee, together with a neurosurgeon in the department, together with others in other cities, countries, and so on. And that will be, I think, one way where you can gain a lot out of your involvement.
Thank you. So my last question to Dr. Connolly. Dr. Connolly, how do you see the future of neurosurgery as you're actively engaged with medical students in academy, both in these societies and at Columbia?
Well, the future's bright, and I think that where we gain most from the students is the new things. I bet Anne doesn't spend her whole day on ChatGPT, but the students do. And so we really learn a lot from the students in terms of what's the next kind of lever that's going to make neurosurgery new and different and keep it fresh. And so I think the collaboration really is one that's absolutely necessary to keeping neurosurgery fresh and rejuvenated. And I think the idea of using the students as a fulcrum for multi-center clinical research is an excellent one, and one that we really need to continue to tap the way the EANS has. So I think that that's a great thing that we could do between the EANS and the AANS. And I think that would be really a wonderful collaboration. So I think the future's bright. It's really critical, if I leave you with one thought, that the students are mentoring the students. They really do an almost better job at this than we do, because we're intimidating, we're old, we're dusty, and they have the real touch with the undergraduate students and the high school students in a way that we really don't. And so that's the only way that we can keep our field going and fresh.
Thank you. This is the end of my questions. We would like to hear if any of our panelists would like to add something. Maybe Dr. Emmez.
Please, Anne.
Well, no, I just was wondering, what's your name? What's your aim, Adem? What are your plans? What are you guys currently thinking about? Are you just trying to explore how to expand what you're already doing? And can you give us a little background?
Sure. So, as you mentioned, you have chapters from various medical schools. Currently, it's been like one or maybe 1.5 years since we started this thing, and we currently have 60 representatives from 40 different medical schools. And the thing we're trying to do is to come together neurosurgeons with medical students by, the OR experience, research experience, or we try to let students join some programs that are organized by neurosurgeons in various schools. That's the main parts that we're trying to focus now, but we're in the beginning, so we're trying to expand our channels to reach more students every day and try to have a close contact with other neurosurgeons all around the country.
I want to follow that up. Would it be helpful to you if you had abilities then to talk with the American schools and with the European schools to kind of learn from them also, and not just from us as your top leadership?
Sure, that would be really nice. Actually, we were thinking about organizing another online event, maybe at the end of this May or June, to come together with some of the EANS medical student chapters or some representatives from EANS, some of the student-run societies that are interested in neurosurgery, and maybe we can discuss what they are doing and what we are planning to do, so maybe we can have a idea.
That's good for us to know, because then we could circulate that socially among our chapters and make those types of opportunities and connections, if that type of mentorship would be helpful to you.
Yeah, thank you. That would be really nice.
So,
Dr. Emmez?
I think this Congress or this organization has three main results and effects. One is we have to explain what neurosurgery is busy and what neurosurgery is doing for the medical students, because if they know it, only by this way they can make good and logical and rational selections for their future. The second thing, besides from neurosurgery, all our young colleagues in this Congress will understand that what is expecting in the future. If they can be an orthopedic surgeon, they can be an internal medicine doctor, but for their residency, what will they will face with, they will see it. The third, we need young brains, young visions, and actually active medical students to support the societies. With this kind of collaboration, we can make multi-center studies, we can define our workforce and everything. So in many ways, this kind of collaboration and actually not using but facilitating the young colleagues to neurosurgery or any department will really be very beneficial for all of us.
Thank you. Okay, so in closing, I want to thank to our esteemed speakers and attentive audience for their valuable contributions on today's discussion on medical students' exposure to neurosurgery. As Dr. Stroink mentioned, let's carry this collaborative spirit forward as we work towards enhancing neurosurgical education and practice. Thank you all for your time and participation.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
invitation.
everybody.
Good luck.
Thank you all. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Bye.